Sorry for the wait. Y'all miss me? It's your head honcho Grim Reapsol Dark 61. And yep, happy 2025. Yep, I know. It's only been like almost a week since 2025 started, but I just want to say like yeah, just say like Happy New Year's, even though that was also almost a year ago. But I just want to say yeah, since the month is November, I mean January, and now and that yep, that 2024 is over. Let's try to make 25. Let's try to make 2025 a great year. Great year. Let's try to make the most of it. Yeah. Let's just see. We just have to wait to see what the new year has in store for us. And also will be, and yeah, well, here it is. This will be this will be the first store. This will be the first scary story for 2025, which to start off the new year with this story, which introducing broken window. And funny thing is, it's part of the long story section. You yeah. You know those long stories that I read for 2024, just like for this Halloween. Yeah, this Halloween where I read Blood Moon, and to end off 2024 was my last story for that year was Moon Palace, and other stories that I've read like in the past. Well, here it is. Well, supposedly this is kind of like from the long story section, even though this story is just like 6 minute read. But anyway, yeah. So, well, here's this about. Well, here's all it says is a scary story about a mother who takes her daughter for a drive. When the car breaks down on a lonely mountain road, they have a horrifying encounter. It is based on a Japanese story. And start off with this scary picture of someone like it kind of looks like the same skull, like that skull that is out of the spring. That is, it looks like the same skull that is out, like the skull of William Afton. Like he must have like gone his skull body out of like he's gone out of the Springtrap suit. Like he must have got out of the Springtrap suit. But anyways, I don't have anything to say, but all that I had said in the beginning, the video, this video, and let's get to it. And this is this is Broken Window, first story of 2025. Enjoy. Your doom is not, Grim Reap Souls. All you can do is brace yourselves. A week ago, I was driving home and my young daughter was in the car with me. I was in a hurry, so I decided to take a shortcut that led us down a lonely mountain road. All of a sudden, in the middle of nowhere, the engine started to splutter and the car ground to a halt. When I took out my mobile phone, I realized I had no signal. We were completely stranded, deep in the mountains. I had no idea how to fix the car, and it was growing dark. There was no gas station for miles, and the road was not used very often. It was clear that we would have to spend the night in the car and hope that some passing motorist would stop and give us a ride. Uh, uh, the sun was going down and it was beginning to get very cold, like I am right now. Yeah, right now I am getting cold, and now my lower and I feel that my lower jaws like shake, like shuddering. An eerie silence descended over the mountain, and all I could hear was the wind rustling through the trees. My daughter went to sleep in the passenger seat. I closed my eyes and was starting to drift off as well when I heard a strange noise. It sounded like a voice. I couldn't make out what it was saying. It sounded like gibberish. Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu. At first I thought I was dreaming, but as it got closer and closer, I opened my eyes and looked around. Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu. A dark figure was approaching the car. All I could all I could see was a salute. It looked like a man, and he seemed to be dragging his foot. Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu. I looked down at my daughter. She was still asleep. I didn't want to wake her up. All of a sudden, the noise stopped. The eerie silence returned. Then I looked up and got the fright of my life. I had to stop myself from screaming out loud. Standing at the passenger's window was the most hideous figure I ever seen. It looked like a man, but his face was so twisted and contorted that it formed a frightening visage. He was horribly deformed. It was as if every piece of his it was like as it was as if every piece of skin on his face had been peeled off, and all that was left was bloody red muscle and sinew. Well, that's kind of like William Afton. Like after the spring locks of the spring bodysuit came loose, it starts to crush his body to death. Yes, just like the spring lock failure, and after that, he became Springtrap with his skull all bloody red muscle and sinew, and all that's left is all his skull muscles, and also his eyes, like like I always come back. I always come back. I always come back. Yeah, just like how he says, I'll always come back. He had no nose, he had no ears, his piercing eyes stared at me through the glass. I turned the key in the ignition again and again and tried to start the car, but it was no use. That engine just chugged and died. Outside the window, the hideous man took out a knife. He began chanting over and over to himself, Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu. Each time he said it, he stabbed the window with the knife, hitting it harder and harder, and each time I kept trying to start the car. Tears were streaming down my face. I was desperate to get out of there. Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu, Tensu Metsu. Suddenly, there was a loud crash and the passenger window shattered. Broken glass showered all over my daughter. I screamed hysterically. The man's arms came through the window and he brandished the knife, lashing out at me. Tensumetsu, Tensumetsu, Tensumetsu. Just then, I turned the key one last time and the engine sprang to life. I floored the accelerator and the car tore out of there like a bat out of hell. I sped off down the narrow mountain road, leaving the hideous man far behind. I didn't know where we were going. I just kept driving and driving, never daring to look back. That's when I noticed my daughter had moved. When I looked down at her, I could see her. She was muttering something to herself. Tensumetsu, Tensumetsu, Tensumetsu. A chill ran down my spine. Her face was pale and she was trembling. I shook her, trying to wake her up, but when she opened my eyes, what I saw horrified me. Her eyes were all what I saw horrified me. Her eyes were rolled back in her head. All I could see were the whites of her eyes. Her teeth were gritted together and she was foaming at the mouth. Her face had changed. She didn't even look my daughter anymore. She just kept growling and over. Tensu metsu, tetsu metsu, tetsu metsu. I kept driving and finally I saw the city lights up ahead. We came to a church and I pulled over to the side of the road. Scooping my daughter up in both arms, I carried her into the church and started screaming for help. Help! Help! An old priest appeared from a doorway and asked what was wrong. I told him about the thing I had encountered on the mountain road. He took one look at my daughter and then snatched her from my arms and laid her out of on the church altar. As I watched, crying and shaking with fear, he took out some rosary beads and held the little wooden cross to my daughter's forehead. Then he started reciting prayers in Latin. The priest let us stay there for the night. He put my daughter in a spare bed and stayed up with her all night long, holding her hand, anointing her with holy water, and reciting prayers over her. He placed a Bible on her chest and a scapula around her neck. Yeah, and also that comment. Yeah, that's just a comment that I commented on driver Joe's recent posts about caption this. Yeah, if you guys know who's driver Joe, he's probably the most famous and infamous reactor. But anyways, he told me my daughter was possessed by a demon and he had to try to perform an exorcism. He said that if it was not done and my daughter stayed like this for 49 days, she would never recover. She would be left permanently insane. The priest instructed me to leave my daughter with him so that he could perform the necessary rituals. He said that if I stayed, there was a good chance the demon could possess me as well. It has been a week since my daughter was possessed, and the priest is still taking care of her. I checked on her every day. It's like she isn't even my daughter anymore. She smirks and looks at me indescribably horrible eyes. I just want my daughter back. If you ever find yourself on a lonely mountain road, whatever you do, don't stop. Oh man, that's one. Holy shit, that's one creepy story. To be honest, I kind of feel bad for this woman, for her daughter, since she's possessed by this demon, and now this priest will have to is performing an exorcism to get the demon out of the daughter. Mm, well, supposedly this is supposedly based on a Japanese story. Well, looks. I don't think so. I don't see how. But anyways, yeah. So that was Broken Window. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of this first story of let me know what you think of this story. Yeah, first story of 2025. But overall, this was really a nice, scary story, long story. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. Until next time, I'll see you in the next story. Peace.